First, our top story, the issue top of mind for so many, your bottom line. A recent Fox News poll showing most Americans have a negative view of the economy under President Trump, up 6% over the end of former President Biden's term. Our dollars are just not going as far as they used to, and we actually polled and compared the most recent prices on grocery items for you from the Bureau of Labor Statistics to 6 years ago pre-pandemic. So key staples, including milk, eggs, ground beef, potato chips, and coffee, all climbing in price. These 5 items alone would have cost you $17 in 2019, now $30, nearly doubling. And that's not all. Childcare and car insurance premiums also jumping in price since before the pandemic. These categories are costing Americans an average of more than $4,400 more every single year. Now, there have been some wins, though, since Trump's return to the White House. We have seen gas prices dropping to less than $3 a gallon on average. The president says his art of the deal has secured trillions of dollars of investments into the U.S. So how does President Trump convince Americans the economy is moving in the right direction, especially if that just doesn't reflect in their day-to-day expenses? One way, taking money made from tariffs and sending it directly to Americans in checks. This was Trump earlier tonight.
We're making so much money with tariffs that we'll also be able to make a nice dividend to middle-income people. We're talking about middle-income and lower-income people. We're not talking about dividends to rich people.
NewsNation's Hannah Brandt live for us outside of the White House with more. And Hannah, we know the president gearing up for a trip this week to speak specifically about the affordability issue. What are we learning about this?
Hey, Natasha. Yeah, a lot of focus on affordability right now. You heard the president mention those direct checks. That's an idea he's floated several times before. He clearly really supports that plan. But the White House hasn't put out any specific proposal on that. So right now, those direct checks are an if, not necessarily a when. Now, as for the trip that the president is making to Pennsylvania on Tuesday, this will be the first time that he's made a trip to specifically talk about the issue of affordability. And it comes at a key moment when the cost of living is really seen as a growing concern for Americans, making it a potential political liability as we head into next year's midterms. Mixed messaging coming out of the White House on the issue of affordability. A White House official telling NewsNation at Tuesday's event, President Trump will talk about efforts to end what they call Joe Biden's inflation crisis. Just 1 week after the president dismissed affordability concerns as a Democratic hoax.
You know, there's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Just say it. Affordability. I inherited the worst inflation in history. There was no affordability. Nobody could afford anything. The prices were massively high. The word affordability is a con job by the Democrats.
Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries seizing on that argument in his counter to the president.
The American people know it's not a scam, it's not a hoax, it's very real. People are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck all across this country.
And people don't feel great about the economy. Consumer confidence numbers dropping sharply last month. Plus, reports show employers laid off 1.1 million workers this year, the most since 2020. President Trump and his team have touted dropping gas prices now below $3 per gallon, the lowest level in 4 years. And the stock market hitting near its all-time high on Friday. Last week, President Trump called his newly negotiated rollback of drug prices covered by Medicare the most significant thing to happen to medicine in the last 100 years.
You're going to have drug prices coming down 500, 600, 700% because of me.
But utilities like electricity are going up in cost, and millions of Americans may see rising health care premiums with Affordable Care Act subsidies set to expire later this month. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is defending what he argues is economic progress.
The economy has been better than we thought. We've had the 4% GDP growth in a couple of quarters. We're going to finish the year, despite the Schumer shutdown, with 3% real GDP growth.
But some lawmakers, Republicans, even saying their party does need to focus more on economic issues and avoid the mistake that they believe the Biden administration made by telling Americans the economy is good when that's just not how people are feeling.
Yeah,
Natasha?
it's not reflected at home. All right, Hannah Brandt with that live report at the White House tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.